Hello and welcome to Money 2020 Hindsight, your cheat sheet for the least you need to know in fintech this week. So I'm Nick Holland. I'm the global head of research with Money 2020, and today we're going to discuss Klarna's layoffs, Adam Newman's surprising comeback, Money 2020 Amsterdam, which is coming up very soon, and of course the Money Shop. First of all, with Money 2020 Hindsight, name patented now, or at least we can use that. Let's go to number of the day. So, Mickey, what is the number of the day, please?
Hi, Nick. Nice to see you. My number of the day is 10%.
And what's that?
So that's the percentage of Klarna staff that have unfortunately been laid off. So the CEO of Klarna told his employees on Monday that the company plans to lay off about 10% of its global workforce. So the Swedish BNPL firm is reportedly looking to raise fresh funding in a round that will reduce its valuation by a third. If you remember, they were previously valued at around $46 billion.
Yeah.
And this is really not the first, we're seeing this kind of trend emerging, because we've seen several tech companies that have really flourished on the back of COVID and this kind of digitization now taking steps to, down costs and really kind of improve their bottom line, as it were.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? I mean, overall, it's not good for Klarna, clearly, and obviously terrible for the employees that got laid off, but it's also, and BNPL seems to be in a bit of a sticky point right now. I've heard some pretty horrific figures about the high levels of defaults on the payments, and they're getting a lot of regulatory scrutiny, so it's a tough time. Moving on as well, I think there's some other not good news, which was on Wednesday, Bolt told employees that the company would undergo several structural changes, which basically is code for layoffs to ensure their financial position going forwards. That came from the CEO, Maju Kuruvilla, and so it's going to be Bolt restructuring. And clearly, again, this was a one-click checkout solution. If you remember, Fast, not that long ago, also imploded. So I think, again, being a one-click checkout solution, it doesn't seem to be checking out. Anyway, on a more uplifting note, Mickey, tell me about the Andreessen Horowitz news that came out the other day.
Yeah, so they've really undergone a bit of a transformation over the past few years, scaling its headcount to increase its deal size, and now they've closed their latest crypto fund, which is a whopper $4.5 billion, and it doubles the size of its previous crypto fund and showcases, I guess, the kind of widening interest amongst the firm's limited partners and their willingness and desire to expose themselves, or to broaden their exposure to the crypto startups. And the firm specifies that 1/3 of the new mega fund will be earmarked for seed deals exclusively.
That's interesting. It's funny. Andreessen Horowitz has been super bullish on Web3 and clearly crypto initiatives and so on. So clearly following that up. Interesting little investment they made as well, though. So I think this came across the news waves, or whatever you call them these days, that the former CEO of WeWork, Adam Newman's, jumped on the crypto bandwagon and has raised 70 million for his new startup, which is called Flow Carbon. So in terms of buzzword bingo, we're checking off carbon and blockchain in one. And interestingly, again, 32 million of which came from Andreessen Horowitz. So, they're putting their money there. Just a quick reminder of who Adam Newman was, or he still is. He was the former CEO of WeWork, who was ousted in 2019 when the company went public and was put under the microscope about obviously the unprofitable business model and some questionable leadership antics. It went from actually being privately valued at 47 billion in August 2019 to talk of bankruptcy just weeks after that. So you kind of wonder, again, good luck to him, but when there's a documentary about it narrated by Gwyneth Paltrow and a movie called We Crashed, you kind of wonder, really what he's going to do for an encore. But maybe this. Anyway, Mickey, let's talk about, there's another bit of news. There's tons of news, obviously, all the time, but let's talk about ESG for a second. So remind me what ESG stands for.
Well, so ESG, for many right now, seems to stand for environmental sustainable, but actually it stands for environmental, social, and governance.
Very good. And I do believe we're writing a report on this at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, there's ESG news. Clearly, sort of ESG is hotting up, particularly in the UK, where recent studies found that 77% of UK banks plan to hire an ESG specialist as they prepare for the UK's new rules on sustainable investments that's coming into effect. According to FT Advisor, they polled 200 banks, investment managers, and advisors there. They also found 86% of firms had performed an ESG assessment ahead of the UK's sustainable disclosure requirements and future ESG regulation. So that's kind of a recap of the most recent news. So, Mickey, looking forward a little bit, where are we going to be in a couple of weeks, mate?
Only one place, right? Amsterdam.
Absolutely. If you didn't know already, the Money20 show in Amsterdam is coming up very, very soon. There's myself, you, Mickey, and several thousand of our friends are going to be there. There's going to be 3 days of innovation discussions and, of course, parties. I want to give one particular highlight that I'm going to announce, which is the launch of Embedded Finance, When Payments Become an Experience, which is a book written by our very own Scarlett Sieber and Sophie Gibbon. I've read it, actually. It's a really good exploration of how embedded finance is truly changing the fintech game. And certainly, I think, again, I'm looking forward to the launch party, so that'll be fun. All right, Sanjeev Kalita, we have you on board for today. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, Nick. Thank you for having me on.
Excellent. So this is our final segment on the Money20 Hindsight. We call it the Money Shot. So Sanj, tell me about what you've been up to. You've had a discussion with the National Credit Union Administration recently. So tell me about that, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week I had the pleasure of meeting Kyle Hauptman, who's the vice chair of the National Credit Union Administration. And actually this week they announced, and just as a background, they're the primary regulator for credit unions in the United States. And this week they sent out a letter to the boards and CEOs of all the federally insured credit unions, saying that they are allowing them to use, test, explore distributed ledger technology, which I think has great implications. It is the only regulatory body at the federal level right now that is sort of supporting and enabling and sort of pushing their members to trying or this technology. And I think the philosophically they've gone at it from similar to the way that the Clinton and Gore administration looked at the internet way back in the 90s. They see it as an interesting technology that can have implications long-term and short-term for business models, for customer experiences, for products, and all across the board.
Yeah.
This also opens up, thinking further ahead, starting with distributed ledger technology or blockchain, but obviously that is the underpinning for cryptocurrencies, among other things, NFTs, Web3 even. So this could potentially lay the groundwork for interesting things coming from credit unions, down the line.
I find this fascinating because I've always found, again, credit unions have this unique position in the financial services landscape of being smaller, therefore more agile. And often, again, a lot more capable of experimentation because they might focus on a very specific niche or whatever. So I think there's a lot of potential here for, again, DLT to be something that is really embraced by credit unions as a way of enabling them to deliver new goods and services. I mean, Sanj, do they have any particular ideas in mind, or is it just very sort of macro at this point?
I would describe it as macro, and the other interesting thing that they do in the letter is they call out areas of due diligence and areas of interest that credit unions could or should look into. For example, consensus mechanisms, attack surfaces for a security perspective. So it is actually I like that they're sort of calling out the potential, but also what they should be looking out for.
Yeah, I think, again, it's fascinating. I really do. Again, I've got a lot of time respect for the credit unions in that they have that again, ability to experiment. I think I might not. There's a double-edged sword with this as well. Obviously, that they are often sort of tied to fairly pedestrian legacy platforms. So from a technology standpoint, obviously they don't have the firepower of the the big banks, but again, this provides them, hopefully, I think, with a sandbox to really push the envelope. I'd love to see them flourish in sort of the Web3 space going forward.
That's a great point, Nick. And I think, the conversations that I've had with credit union leaders, there's a self-recognition that that the market is evolving and they need to keep up with the market. And at the same time, there's also a bit of a self-knowledge that, that they do have more limited resources than the large banks. So, any initiatives that they follow really need to result in some kind of business results.
Yeah, no, again, fascinating. Obviously, thanks everyone for attending. This has been a great, succinct review of everything you need to know in fintech to sound smart in your day job. I want to thank Sanjeev Kalita, who is our guest for today. Obviously, Nikki Tesfaye, who is my co-pilot on these shows. And again, our team that helps put this together. So look forward to seeing you soon. I'm Nick Holland, and this has been Money 2020 Hindsight. Thank you very much.